heart and soul. I love all humanity, join hearts and souls together. Love, peace, and harmony. Love, peace, and harmony.
Morning, good afternoon, good evening, guten Nacht or Morgen. Not sure what time it is in Germany right now. Bienvenue, bienvenido, ohayou gozaimasu, shalom, namaste, aloha. Welcome everyone around the world on live stream. Welcome everyone on Facebook. Welcome everyone here in San Francisco. I am Shunya. I am one of the lead teachers here at Master Sha Tao Healing Center in San Francisco. And I am very excited to bring you this introduction to Resurrection, a very special advanced retreat for the students of Dr. and Master Zhigang Sha. So the information that we'll be covering tonight is information that's applicable for everyone who wants to be healthier and happier in their life. The workshop this weekend will be a more advanced teaching for folks who already have some grounding in the theory and practice of soul healing and Tao calligraphy, all the Tao practices for wellness. But this is going to be an overview. For those of you who are long-term students, I am sure that there will be new things that come tonight, and also just taking everything in on a deeper and deeper level. Many of us had the opportunity to spend a few weeks with Master Sha in Hawaii. part of that was webcast, and there were 1,000 people that participated in the webcast. So many of you who are watching right now may have been a part of that. And then there was a more advanced teaching for a group of about, I think there were about 300 people that were in the room. And some of the things that we'll be sharing this weekend will be the core messages and essence from those teachings with Master Sha, from the time that we spent with him. There's a lot of specific things in terms of specific teaching or specific practice that we can't share from the advanced retreat. You have to be in those advanced programs. But Master Sha works this way. And he's very different than most Tao teachers. Most Tao teachers throughout history have taught, here's how it works, actually. It's really, if you go to a Tao temple where there's a Tao master, there's an outer wall. And you might come in through the outer wall. You might be let in to the outer wall. There's actually, in the outer wall, there's a teacher there. And the teacher will teach you. And you might be let in through the outer wall into the outer courtyard. And there's a teacher there. You might get this level of teaching. After a while in this area, when you're ready, you might be invited to the inner courtyard. After being in the inner courtyard for a while, you might be invited inside. Very, very few, very rarely would you come into the inner temple. And all of this can take years and years and years and years. Master Sha's very unusual. He doesn't teach Taoism. He doesn't teach Buddhism. He teaches how to be healthier and happier. But he's studied with some of the Tao masters from China, Buddhist masters from China, Tai Chi, I Ching, Feng Shui, Qigong masters. In fact, he is recognized as a Qigong master. He was recognized by the 5th World Congress on Qigong as Qigong Grand Master of the Year. Now, most Qigong Grand Masters would have 1 or 2 disciples that they would pass the highest wisdom on to. Master Sha wants to give everything he can to everyone he can. In fact, he's published more than 20 books, 11 of which have been New York Times bestsellers. And as soon as he gets wisdom, he wants to share it out. He says it's like a warehouse. You can't get more in if the warehouse is full. You have to give it out more. So what Master Sha does, his way of serving the world, is that he gives as much wisdom as he can to as many people as he can. Both the wisdom, the practices, the transmissions, the blessings. So his goal then is to help as many people go as far up the spiritual journey as they can. He will lift people up, and then he will give them as much power as he can, and then he asks them to do one thing. Go out that and use that to serve others as much as you possibly can. And so then those teachers go out to teach others. Then those that are taught by those teachers go out to teach others. In this way, we all lift up together. Master Sha writes in his books that his intention, his desire, his mission is to transform the consciousness of all humanity. starting with those he can reach and having that passed on and on and on. So for those of us who teach, who are master teachers under Master Sha, our job is to take what we've learned, the power that we've been given, and share it as much as we can with others. So when we spend time with Master Sha, our goal is to purify our souls, hearts, minds, and bodies as much as we possibly can, to receive as much as we possibly can, and then as soon as we can, to share it with others. So that's why we're having this workshop this weekend. It's called Resurrection because this is Easter weekend. It's also Passover. I was just talking with a friend of mine who is just starting. She was just getting ready to sit down to Seder. So it's a very special time of year. And the theme is resurrection. The theme is new life, new beginnings. Whether you celebrate the Easter solstice, or you celebrate Easter, or you celebrate Passover, it's really about new beginnings and new life. So when we use the word resurrection, it was interesting because when I was creating the flyer for this, I was sitting next to one of our teachers from the Netherlands. And she was like, resurrection? And I was like, yeah, it's Easter weekend. And she was like, oh, but that means bringing the dead back to life. And only Jesus can do that. You know, in the Netherlands, you use the word resurrection, you're talking about Jesus, and only Jesus does that. So I wasn't aware that some Christians held that interpretation of it in that way, of that word. I must have gone to more liberal churches growing up because they talked about it as letting the old die off. You know, yes, they talk about Jesus who on this day was crucified, was entombed, and then rose from that tomb on the third day. And to Christians, that is sacred truth. And so I don't mean in any way to take anything away from that. And I recognize that, and I grew up with that understanding also. In the churches that I went to growing up, they used that metaphorically as well. So not only was it a literal story, but it was also a symbolic story, a parable. You know, Jesus always taught in parables. So it was talking about how we have to let the old die out. We have to let the past go. And we have to be born again and rise up into a glorious new future. And that was the message of Easter weekend. And in the churches, the message was, and we do that through God's love. Now, as I've grown older as an adult, I would say we do that through God's love, divine love, Tao love, source love, the love of the Creator, the created, all that is. You know, there's so many different ways to express that, but it's universal love is another way to say it. So we use universal love, forgiveness, compassion, light, humility, harmony, flourishing, gratitude, service, enlightenment, all of that to make our lives healthier and happier. And the purpose of life is to serve. To serve is to make others happier and healthier. And one of the ways we do that most is by moving our soul journey forward, moving our spiritual life forward. And the physical life is really to serve the soul journey. So when we arrange our physical life so that our soul, our heart and soul are supported, then we're happier and healthier. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you feel like your soul's not getting nourished? Have there been times in your life where you're just like, yeah, my soul's just kind of hungry for something. It's not quite getting everything that it needs to be in that calm, peaceful, beautiful place. So this is what we're doing this weekend. We're nourishing the soul, helping the soul to grow more and more and more. So, I don't think I grabbed the best eraser. Just a moment. Maybe, Anita, would you do me a favor and just find me a box of tissues? I think that'll actually work much better. In the kitchen, I believe there's some on the shelf. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, thank you. So, so in the time in Hawaii, Master Sha shared teachings that many of which are in the books, many of which have been taught at other retreats, but always going to a deeper and deeper level, and many new teachings. Thank you so much.
It does really work on those whiteboards.
From a school teacher, thank you. We have it on expert authority. Great. Okay. So, in order to understand some of the things that we're going to be working with today and how we can go to the highest level, I want to talk about the process of normal creation and reverse creation. Many of you will be familiar with this. For some folks, it'll be new wisdom and understanding. So, in Taoist teachings in ancient China, the word that they gave to that universal presence is Tao. So there was a very wise man that lived about 2,500 years ago, somewhere in there. Historically, nobody's quite sure exactly when he lived. And they don't even know his name, actually. He was given a title, Old Saint, or Lao Tzu. Lao means old, Tzu means saint. So an old saint, the old wise man. And Lao Tzu wrote a book called the Tao Te Ching. He wrote the wisdom that he had learned or that he received. And to this day, it is one of the most widely read books of philosophy in the world. And I remember studying it in college. I remember reading, I remember my dad actually wanting to read it when I was in high school. So Lao Tzu wrote the Tao Te Ching, and Lao Tzu back 2,500 years said there is something that's out there that's bigger than the biggest thing you can possibly imagine. It's smaller than the smallest thing you can possibly imagine. It's in and around everything. Let's call it Tao, T-A-O. Tao is the source, the way, the universal laws and principles, and that was the word that was given, that was used to describe whatever that ineffable thing is that's greater than everything that we really can't even put words around. So we come up with a three-letter word, very simple, Tao. So, yeah, I think Deepak Chopra talks about this as the universal consciousness and the universal field of consciousness. I think Tao's easier to say. So, from the Tao, so then this is Lao Tzu's teaching. He said, from Tao comes one. From one comes two. So the Tao creates one. Tao Sheng Yi is how it's said in Chinese, in Mandarin. One is oneness. They also refer to it as Hundun. Hundun is a blurred condition. So when you see it with your third eye, it's not something you can see with your physical eyes, but when spiritual people go into meditation and they rise through meditation into a place where they can see this, it's a blurred state where nothing is differentiated. Everything exists, but it is in its pre-form. It doesn't have shape and form yet. This state, according to the teachings of the Taoists, this lasted for eons, waiting for the moment. And then it separated into clean chi. Within the Hundun was clean chi and heavy chi. The clean chi went up to heaven. The heavy chi, Jua chi, went down to earth. One became two. And heaven and earth were created. So now we have duality. Not only heaven and earth, but light and dark. And in the, I told you I grew up in going to Christian churches, and in those churches, they say God split day and night, right? Heaven and earth. So in Genesis, there's a very similar talking about how everything became two, that everything split into yin yang. Then two, oh boy, I just grabbed all the best markers. Thank you so much. Exactly what I was looking for. Two creates three. And three is heaven, earth, and Tao all together. So heaven and earth represents yin and yang. Heaven, yang, earth, yin. So heaven and earth join with the Tao. So when a sperm and an egg come together to create new life, the Tao, or the creator, puts its essence in as well. And that creates life. Without the Tao or the creator or the source, no life. The egg and sperm come together. There's something that comes with it that's pure, of heaven, of the Tao, the source. So two creates three. And then three creates all things. Wan Wu. Wan means 10,000, Wu means things. 10,000 in the way Chinese was written just means everything, right? Just the whole multitude of things, 10,000 things. So everything is created in this circle. This is how creation works. We are part of this. So human beings, we're down here as part of this. Whoops, I'm writing the Chinese. In Chinese, it's Ren. So this is human being. So heaven, earth, and human being are all created from the Tao. And where are we going? What's our destiny? The destiny is to go back to the Tao. Wan Wu, Gui San. 10,000 things go back to 3. From 3, we go back to 2. From 2, we go back to 1. And from 1, we go back to the Tao. This is normal creation. This is reverse creation. So what are we all trying to do? We're all trying to go back to the Tao, back to the source, to be one with the divine, to be one with the universe, to be one with all things. Now, interestingly, quantum physics, we have 2 books, Soul, Mind, Body, Science System, and Tao Science, where quantum physics is actually showing this to be true. And if you talk about this from the perspective of quantum physics, the Tao is that which is the most interconnected. In fact, it is connected to all things, to everything that exists and everything that could exist. It is complete and utter connection, positive connections. Positive connections meaning they carry love, forgiveness, compassion, light, humility, harmony, flourishing, gratitude, service, enlightenment. The opposite of that is disconnected. So the farther we get around this circle, the more disconnected we become. 10,000 things where there's, how many of us feel connected to everything that's in the world? Many people are even like, I'm not connected to the people in the next country, next neighborhood, let alone, or next country, or the person sitting next to me on the bus, right? You know, they have nothing to do with me. It's just my world, right? That's disconnected. So we go into this state of disconnection, and what we're trying to do is find our way back into interconnection, back to oneness, which will take us back to the source, the Tao, being one with the divine. I'm using lots of words for it because in our philosophies around the world, we have lots of words for it. My minor in college was comparative religions. So I studied all the different ways that people talked about it. But basically, they were talking about the same thing, or at least I believe they were.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
At some level, there's
Yeah.
an understanding that's the same, that you reach
Yeah.
when you evolve in that tradition.
So what Anita was saying, there's an understanding that you reach when you involve in that tradition. And I think that that can be true, that when I talk with people, whether they're Catholic or Buddhist or Hindu or Taoist, we do start getting to that place where, oh yeah. But when I was studying it, what it reminded me of was there's a story in India about the emperor at the time, or not emperor, I forget what the ruling person is called, Raj maybe. But the ruler of this area, this king, city-state in India, he has 7 advisors and they're all blind. And he's never seen an elephant, and he says, please go out and find an elephant and come back and report on me. What is an elephant? So the advisors, they go out and they all get to the elephant. And one of them feels the tail, and one of them feels the ear, and one of them feels the leg, and one of them feels the side of the elephant. So, and one of them feels the tusk. So they come back to the advisor, and he's like, I'm so excited. Please tell me, what is an elephant? And the first one says, oh, I am so honored to tell you about an elephant. An elephant is very hard and smooth. And when you stroke it, it's long and curved, and there's a point. And one of the other advisors says, excuse me for interrupting, but that's not at all what an elephant is. An elephant is like leather. The one who felt the ear, it's like leather. It's got this texture to it, and it moves like the wind. And another one, the one who felt the tail, says, no, it's not like that at all. It's like a rope. How can you possibly say it's like that? And soon they all took to fighting about what the elephant was. This is how I experienced, when I studied comparative religion, scholars talking about religions. They were all fighting about what the elephant was and how you described the elephant instead of knowing the essence of the elephant. So that's why I use many words to talk about it. Whatever word you're comfortable with, whatever way you're comfortable with looking at it, that's great. If you want to put any other word up here for Tao, feel free, no problem. So, Tao creates one, one creates two, two creates three, three creates everything. Everything goes back to three, back to two, back to one, back to the Tao. There's a division in the nature of reality that runs right across here. Actually, should be above that. Okay. So in ancient philosophy, this was called the Wu world, the invisible world. This is the Yo world, the visible world. The Wu world is in a state of oneness. The Yo world is in a state of yin-yang. Yin-yang means that everything has an opposite, and they coexist. You can't have male without female. You can't have up without down. You can't have dark without light. You can't have good without bad. All of that exists down at this level. Remember I said in the Hundun it was undifferentiated? There isn't good and bad. There isn't light and dark. There isn't up and down. There isn't left and right. It's all one. So what human beings are trying to do is go beyond yin-yang to escape the yin-yang world and go back to the state of oneness. The focus of Master Sha's teachings for our spiritual journey, there were many teachings. Some were just very plain about how do you heal yourself. If you have a challenge in your life, on your soul, heart, level of soul, heart, mind, and body, how can you use Shen medicine to work with, as a complementary therapy, with your medical providers to have the greatest, best possible outcome? But when it came, the spiritual part of it, the deeper part of the message was to go back to this state of oneness. And in this, you'll find health. In this, you'll find happiness. In this, you'll find balance and harmony, a quiet, peaceful mind, you know, an open, loving heart. All of that exists within the oneness. It's the disconnectedness that makes us not have those things. So we're returning back to this state. What we need to do in order to do that we need to decrease the yo and increase the wu. In other words, make more of our life this and less of our life this. More oneness, less multiplicity. More interconnectedness, less disconnection. Welcome. So this is where we're headed. And Master Sha gave a number of very practical things that we can do and wisdom around that over the weeks. And that's what we're going to share with you this weekend. A big part of that, I want to talk more about what do we mean less yo, more wu. Is it making sense so far?
Yes.
Okay, good. And on the webcast, if you have questions or comments, please put them in the chat room. I'd be more than happy. Or if you're on Facebook and you want to put them in the comment section, that'd be wonderful. Okay, so wu and yo. So yo let me approach this just a little bit differently. So everything and everyone is made up of Shin, Qi, and Jing. Shin, and this is, again, ancient Chinese wisdom. Shin is soul, heart, and mind. Qi is energy. And Jing is matter. Now, I mentioned quantum physics. So if you read Tao Science, and Tao Science was co-written by Dr. Rulin Xu, who's a Berkeley-trained PhD quantum physicist with an emphasis in string theory. She did her postgraduate work at the University of Texas, and she's been working to see in ways that link quantum physics with the ancient wisdom of China. Her undergraduate work was all done in China. She's originally from China. And so she's been finding ways that the Chinese wisdom, the ancient wisdom of China, helps to answer unanswered questions in physics about where everything comes from. What is everything made of? What's going to happen to everything? So these are the questions that quantum physics is trying to answer. And from that perspective, she would say that Shin is content. Overall, Shin is the message of who you are, which includes the content, like all the different frequencies and vibrations that make up who you are. And then those messages go down to the heart, which is the receiver. So the messages go from the soul to the heart. The mind is the processor. So the mind thinks about those messages logically. and makes logical, rational decisions about whether they're true or not, what we should do about that. The mind is very logical and rational. If the mind agrees, then it sends the message to the level of chi, and the chi is the actioner. Energy. Energy is what puts things into action. And then the message goes down to the level of matter, which is the transformer. It's where transformation can take place. Transformation is change. If there was no matter, we wouldn't have any observable change, right? Matter is everything that you can observe. You can see it, feel it, smell it, taste it, touch it, hear it, or you can create instruments that can do that, right? Like we can't see TV waves that are in the room right now. But if you have a TV set sitting next to you, gosh, I'm really dating myself because that happens with antennas. So if I was 20 years younger, I would only know that to come through a cable. So let's use wireless phone. So, right, you've got a wireless phone. Somewhere there's a signal that goes to your phone. Those signals are floating in the air right now. We can't see them, feel them, touch them, hear them, taste them, but our phone can, right? Our phone can detect them and turn them into something we can see. Like you can watch a movie. That movie's floating out here somewhere in the air. How's that for a concept? Yeah? So, okay, I want to watch HBO. There it is. I'm going to watch it. So matter is everything that we can measure, observe, quantify. And what we observe and quantify is how it changes, the transformation that happens in it. Does it move? Does it change form like an ice cube that melts into water and then evaporates into gas? In order to do that, it takes energy, right? We know from Newton that if an object is at rest, it will remain at rest until another object interacts with it, till there's energy that moves it, right? An ice cube will stay an ice cube until there's heat to melt it. Water will stay water until there's heat to evaporate it. Heat is energy, right? It's the energy from the heat that does that. Okay, I hear the wheels turning. That's great. So here's the thing about human beings. At every level of this, we have both positive and negative messages. So in our content, in the frequency and vibration of who we are, there is positive frequency and vibration and negative frequency and vibration. The source, the creator, the Tao, doesn't have that, right? Because it's still in that state of oneness. But we've gone into this, we exist in the state of duality in the yin-yang world, so we have both positive and negative. So we've got positive and negative messages coming through to our heart. Our heart has positive and negative messages. For instance, a possible negative message of a heart is, I'm easily broken, I've been broken many times before, don't take any risks, don't fall in love, I don't want to be broken again, right? Do you think that that leads to greater connection or more disconnection? Disconnection. So remember, the Tao is connection. The opposite of the Tao is disconnection. So to go back to the Tao, we have to heal that message. We have to change that message from a negative message into a positive message. Same thing at the level of mind, negative and positive messages. At the level of the energy, there's negative and positive messages. And at the level of matter, there's negative and positive messages. So a negative message at the level of the matter in your body might be the message that tells your cells to rapidly multiply in an irregular form. That's called cancer, right? That's a negative message at the cellular level of your body that can kill you. So what we want to do is transform all the negative messages into positive messages. The more positive messages that we have, the more connected we become. The more connected we are, the more we go back to our source. The more we become one with the universe. The more peaceful we are. The more happy we are. The more healthy we are in our soul, heart, mind, and body. And the farther we go on our spiritual journey. So that's the process that we're all involved in, is just learning about. And how we do that is we go through life and we have experiences. And then we look at those experiences and we say, actually what we usually say is, oh, blankety blank, 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 there's that experience again. But if we can take that experience and go, wait, this keeps happening to me, what can I learn from this? How can I transform my soul, heart, mind, energy, or matter in such a way that this doesn't happen to me, or at least not as much? So how can I transform my soul, heart, mind, energy, and matter so my heart doesn't get broke so much? Right? I think that's a very common one for human beings. I think most of us have that experience somewhere in our life of, wow, I really would like to have a heart that doesn't feel broken. So how do we do that? We change the messages to the point where our heart becomes so open and so full of love that even when we have experiences that we might call negative experiences, like we might experience as rejection from another person or being taken advantage of, our heart is so wide open that it doesn't break our heart. That our heart has enough love and compassion for ourselves and enough love and compassion for everybody else who are doing just as many stupid things as we are, and maybe even more so, because we all make mistakes, right? If you are a human being who has never made a mistake, please come to my center. I would like to honor you as a teacher, and I would like to learn from you. For the rest of us, and this talk doesn't apply to you at all. For the rest of us who are making mistakes, we know that we're making mistakes and learning and growing. And so is everybody else. So when we have a huge heart, when somebody else makes a mistake, we're not hurt by it. We understand that they're just acting out of their own negative messages. and we forgive them. We may not want to keep engaging with it, and I'll give you an example of that. If you're in an abusive relationship, and that person, your life is in danger, your physical, emotional health is in danger, don't stay there and say, I'm just going to open my heart wider. Get out, go to safety, and open your heart wider. Yeah, and it doesn't mean that what the other person is doing isn't wrong, right? You know, I mean, it is bad karma to lie, steal, cheat, kill, take advantage of other people. Those are all bad karma things. So we're not saying like, oh, you know, there's nothing bad, nothing good. In this world, there is. There are things which will get you more virtue and more connection, and things which will lose virtue and make you more disconnected. So we want to focus on the positive things, the things that do make us more connected, more loving, more forgiving, more compassionate, more full of light, and transform the things that take us out of that. So another way of talking about that, another way of saying that, is that we want to decrease the yo and increase the wu. So this means having less less of the world's negativity, purifying our soul, heart, mind, and body. So I want to speak to a phenomenon that's happened a little bit within our teaching. So this might not make a lot of sense to people who are brand new. But folks who've been around for a while, this is for you. So we've come to start talking about purifying as experiencing things that are unpleasant, right? Like somebody has a cold, oh, I'm purifying. Which on one level is absolutely true. When you have a cold, your body is purifying something, it's getting rid of germs, it makes all that mucus and snot and sneezing and everything to get something out of your body. It might have a fever to burn off the viruses or bacteria that are causing the illness, right? That's how our body purifies. It's true. But what I hear people doing is like my negative emotions have the better of me, and I'm just wallowing in my negative emotions. And I'll ask people, how are you doing? And they're like, I'm really purifying. Purifying means to make something clear or clean. It doesn't mean to stay and dive deep into something unclean and wallow in it as long as you possibly can. Purify means to transform, to change. It is a word of change. So when we're purifying our soul, heart, mind, and body, that doesn't mean that we just hang out in all the negative messages in our soul, heart, mind, and body, and keep continuing to perpetuate the negative messages. Like if I'm deeply, deeply sad, and I'm just talking about how awful the world is and how everything's terrible and everything's a conspiracy and life's out to get me and it's a dog-eat-dog world out there and everything's just so terrible and you can't trust anyone and life is just hard and it's, all I'm doing is just going deeper and deeper into the negativity. It's absolutely true that everything that I just said you can experience in the world. It exists in a yin-yang world. So does the opposite of everything that I just said. Right? So does love, forgiveness, compassion, light. People who are wonderful, generous, magnanimous, opportunities for growth, for prosperity, for happiness, for joy, for for healthy, functional, love-filled relationships. All of that exists in a yin-yang world. Where are we putting our attention? Where are we hanging out? Decreasing yo is decreasing the negativity. Increasing wu is increasing the positivity. Decreasing yo is decreasing the disconnectedness. Increasing wu is increasing the connectedness. And the greatest connectedness is love, forgiveness, compassion, and light. Imagine if every thought, every word, every action was 100% love, forgiveness, compassion, and light. Not everybody else's thoughts, words, and actions, but your own, my own, our own. So my own, every thought was just love, forgiveness, compassion, and light. Every word, love, forgiveness, compassion, and light. Every action, from the smallest thing to the biggest thing, love, forgiveness, compassion, and light.
Sounds like sainthood.
Sounds like sainthood. It does indeed. It is possible. You know, here's the thing about sainthood. It wouldn't exist if there weren't saints. Right? We wouldn't talk about it if there weren't people who had actually lived like that. Now, what's happened somewhere along the line is that we've made up a story that only other people can be saints. I can't be a saint. Right? You know, that's the story. That's not possible for me. You know, Mother Teresa, sure. But I'm not willing to go, you know, hang out with sick people and take care of them all day long. That may not be your path to sainthood. But if you want to go on a path to sainthood, you can. And saints are not exclusive to any one religion. They have different words for them. You know, I think in some of the traditions that I studied in school, they were called prophets. In other traditions, they were called old wise man, right? Unfortunately, it was always man. I have to change that story, right? Because it doesn't work if less than 50% of the population can get there. So what we're doing is actually going more and more to that place of being a saint, of being a person who's living love, forgiveness, compassion, and light in their life. I know I am far from this place. I'm not going to stand up here and say, and I've got this mastered and I'm going to teach you how. That's not my job in this lifetime. But I know I'm a lot farther along than I was 20 or 30 years ago, maybe more than 30 years ago, when I started studying with different spiritual teachers around the world. And particularly, I can say before I met Master Sha, I'm a lot farther along now than I was then. And things that used to trigger me and go into my negative messages don't do that anymore. Now, there are still some that do. So I know I've got more work to do. I'm still purifying my soul, heart, mind, and body. All students of Master Sha are purifying their soul, heart, mind, and body. There are students of Master Sha who are farther along than I am. I am happy to learn from them. I'm happy to learn from any student. The Dalai Lama is farther along than I am, I think. I am happy to learn from him. What we'll share in this weekend are practices, wisdom, and blessings that help us move far and fast towards those goals. So the woo world, I've said over and over again, we call them the 10 Da. Da in Mandarin means greatest. The 10 greatest qualities of the divine, the Tao, the source, the universe, the cosmic field of being, mother, father, divine, and whatever words you want to use for it. The 10 Da, the 10 greatest qualities of that thing we're all trying to talk about are love, forgiveness, compassion, light, humility, harmony, flourishing, gratitude, and enlightenment. I've studied with a lot of different teachers, and they might add or replace add a different word, or take away a word, or change a word, but in the way that Master Sha teaches and what we'll be sharing this weekend, these are at least 10 of the greatest qualities. And they're the 10 that in this teaching we focus on to transform our life. So, and I can say for myself, if every thought, word, and action that I had all 10 of these qualities, I'd be very happy. I'd be like, okay, no problem, that worked for me. So this is increasing Wu. It's increasing oneness. It's increasing interconnectedness. Right? If you have compassion, aren't you closer to other people? If you have a compassion for yourself, aren't you more connected? If you have humility, isn't it easier to connect? I know when I don't have humility, it's very difficult to connect with people. Flourishing's an interesting one. There's a lot of people that believe saints shouldn't flourish. And in fact, there's a whole history in the Catholic Church of saints. Actually, Catholic Church, Hindu, what other traditions do I know of that have done this? Oh, no, the Buddhists, well, and the Buddhists, though, always said, the Buddha taught go the middle path. Because the Buddha was an ascetic for a while. The Buddha came out of Hindu traditions, and he became, it's called an ascetic, which means he lived in the forest or the jungle with just a loincloth and ate bugs, and they would do things like put a weight in their tongue, put bamboo under their fingernails, just cause themselves intense physical pain, starve themselves to detach from all attachments to anything. And the Buddha did that for a while. But then the Buddha was by a stream, at least this is the way the story goes, and I love the story, and a music teacher that was on a boat. If I have the picture right, there was a boat coming down the river. There was a young woman playing a string instrument, And the teacher said, if the string is too loose, you can't play it. If the string is too tight, it will break. And the Buddha had an aha moment. He had an awakening and realized that the path he was on was not the path of liberation for humanity, which is what he was seeking. And he had to find the middle path. But in almost every tradition, there is that aesthetic path. There's the penitentes in the Catholic Church who, beat themselves, in history, wearing horsehair shirts, which is like uncomfortable beyond belief. You do not want to go buy a horsehair shirt. So there's that tradition of making yourself suffer to reach saintliness. And some have, I mean, Mother Teresa did not have a lavish life, right? And she became a saint. So, but that's not a requirement. And the divine is abundant. The Tao is abundant. The source is abundant. The source flourishes. So, at least as far as we look at things, particularly if your lack of flourishing is causing disconnection in any way, then it is keeping you in the yo world. Now, we also say live a simple life, right? Like, I do not have a yacht sitting in the harbor. I don't have 7 mansions. I know people who do, and they're good friends of mine, and I love them, and they're wonderful. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not my path. My path is more simple than that, but I also, I like my sweater. My sweater's soft. It doesn't have holes in it. I also don't intentionally deny myself, right? I also look at, do I have an attachment? If my happiness depended on having a sweater like this, then I have a problem. So there's a lot of nuances to all of that. That's probably a whole nother workshop. But love, forgiveness, compassion, light, humility, harmony, flourishing, gratitude, enlightenment. These are ways that we can enter the woo world. And I'll say one thing about the flourishing. Remember that when I started talking, I said, what Master Sha teaches in every book is the purpose of life is to serve. To serve is to make others healthier and happier. So if you're flourishing and it's all about making yourself healthier and happier, only taking care of yourself, thinking about yourself, all about yourself, that's not going to serve you. If you use that to serve others and make others healthier and happier, that's wonderful. Think of people, who can you name that has used flourishing to help other people be healthier and happier?
Okay, aside from wealthy people donating a lot, creating positive, whatever, people who are...
Why don't we, Ed's encouraging us to use the microphone so the webcasters can hear you also.
Some people who are self-employed and doing well or independently wealthy have time and space and energy to serve more, to devote more to service.
So who would be someone like that you can think of? Wow,
well,
I can think of a whole
people.
list off the top of my head.
Okay, I'm an older person, so I can think of people who were able to retire and support themselves. They have adequate means to support themselves and they don't have to work, so they're doing a lot of service, a lot of volunteer work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I worked for 10 years doing nonprofit management, our receptionist, she had lost her son, and it was an AIDS foundation. She'd lost her son to AIDS, and she volunteered there. She was older. She was okay financially, and she was like everybody's mother. You know, she gave everyone so much love. It was wonderful. You know, I was thinking more like people like Jimmy Carter, who after he was president went around the world building houses for people who didn't have houses. You know, I mean, I think that's a pretty cool thing to do. There's a lot of people would say Oprah, you know, who created an orphanage and school for children in Africa who clearly would not have had that. You know, so anyway, so flourishing can be used to help others to be healthier and happier. That is the purpose of having flourishing. It's not so you can sit with your flourishing and give yourself more and more flourishing. So I just want to be clear about that. All right. So yo is reducing and the negativity and purifying the soul, heart, mind, and body. Wu is increasing the 10 das. So this was a big focus of what Master Sha taught throughout the retreats. This probably is the essence of what we worked on for the weeks that we were together. It will be the essence of what we do this weekend. Bringing more of this and less of this into our world. Okay? Ed, are there questions, comments, or concerns in the chat room? Okay.
Susan says that she still uses an antenna for her TV.
Okay. I don't know if everybody on the webcast heard that. He said, Susan in the chat room says that she still uses an antenna for her TV. Okay, so I don't feel quite outdated. Thank you. I really need to update my examples, though.
I really, depending on third graders, to operate a complex AV system for me. They know how to connect an iPad to a big screen or TV screen and project things. I haven't figured it out yet, but the little kids do, and they pick it up real quickly. So I'm impressed with what I'm seeing in second and third graders, but I'm depending on them to run AV systems.
And we're never too old to learn.
Right.
So one of the practices that's key for purifying the soul, heart, mind, and body Mu Bu Wang Shi. R Bu Wang Ting. Ko Bu Wang Yan. Now Bu Wang Sheng. This means Mu is eyes. Bu means no. Wang is pollution. Shi is to see. So eyes know, pollution see. So don't look at polluted things. Don't keep your attention on polluted things. One of the quotes I heard recently was, The horror show in Washington is mesmerizing.
I relate.
So there we are, turning our eyes to all the political corruption, lying, you know, negativity, he said, she said, fighting, arguing, competing, and our eyes are turned and our attention is there. What we put our eyes on, we become. What we hold our attention on, we become. Is that what we want to become? Or do we want to turn our vision elsewhere? Arbu Wang Ting. Ears, no pollution, hear. Listening to the news. Listening to, watching and listening to horror movies, violent movies. You know, graphic novels have become so popular both as TV shows and movies and as books. And there's a level there that is so beyond what I remember growing up with. And the market is teenagers. And I find it's unsettling to me when I'm watching things now, when I'm listening to things. So ears, no pollution here. So we turn away from that. That's also like, I worked for the phone company for many years, and the whole culture of the phone company was complaining. People would tell you, I work here because there's cradle-to-grave security, I have great benefits, but I hate my job. And that was their life. And it was like 65,000. And not everyone felt that way, but many, many people who worked there. And so people would come in and they'd just start complaining from the first thing in the morning till the end of the day. And I found myself doing the same thing with them. And then I stopped. One day I was studying with different spiritual teachers, and they were pointing out this sort of thing. I was like, whoa, I got to stop myself. And I literally started just lightly biting my tongue whenever I started saying something that was complaining. And I had to break myself of the pattern of complaining. Same thing listening to complaining. The more you listen to it, the more you fall into it. Kobu Wang Yin. Mouth, no pollution, speak. And now Bu Wang Shang, mind, no pollution, think. So how do we know if something is polluted? How much love, forgiveness, compassion, light, harmony, humility, flourishing, gratitude, service, or enlightenment does it carry? That's right? So when we measure things that way, think about all the thoughts that you've had today. What percentage would you say were love, forgiveness, compassion, light, harmony, humility, flourishing, gratitude, service, enlightenment? What percentage were not that? I'm going to guess that none of us made 100% positive, right? So we have ways that we can help transform that and make it more positive. One of the ways is using sacred calligraphy. So what we have here is calligraphy that was written by Master Sha's lineage holder. So Master Sha is a Dao Shu Fa, a Dao calligraphy grandmaster, recognized by the government of China. He's a cultural ambassador for China. The tradition of this calligraphy goes back to the last emperor of China. The teacher to the last emperor of China was Taishu. Taisher had one lineage holder. That lineage holder's name was Professor Li. Professor Li was a remarkable woman. When she met Master Sha, she was 106 years old. Very beautiful, loving heart, kind, just a remarkable woman. And she took Master Sha on as her lineage holder. Then he brought everything he knew about health and wellness from being a Qigong master, a Chinese medicine doctor, trained as a Western medicine doctor, brought all of that and used this as an art form, a meditation practice, and a self-healing tool. So what we have here is Mu Bu Wang Shi, Ar Bu Wang Ting, Ku Bu Wang Yan, Now Bu Wang Sheng. And this set was written by Master Sha's only lineage holder. Her name is Carol Liu. She's a Tao calligraphy master teacher and grandmaster calligrapher. And she wrote these for us for this weekend so that we can use these to transform the negative messages to positive messages. So we have, the only reason that our eyes see polluted things is because we have negative messages in our soul, heart, mind, and body that turn our eyes towards negative things. The only reason that our ears listen to negative things is that we have negative messages in our soul, heart, mind, and body that, you know, kind of, oh, what's the old thing? I don't like to repeat gossip, so you better listen close the first time. So our ears are like, oh, let me just strain to hear that. Our mouth, the only reason that we speak negative things is because we have negative messages in our soul, heart, mind, and body. The only reason we think negative things is because there's negative messages in our soul, heart, mind, and body. What you chant is what you become. What you put your attention on is what you become. What you think about is what you become. So if we chant and trace these calligraphies, we take in their message and we start living that. And we transform the negative messages to positive messages. So we're just going to do that with the first one tonight, with Mu Bu Wang Shi. Eyes, no pollution, see. So when you trace it, you go, we're going to put 5 fingers together because the 5 fingers represent the 5 elements in our body. We have earth, wood, fire, metal, and water. So we put them all together. And we trace up and around. Actually, I'm going to use a pointer so you can see more clearly. I think I am going to.
Right here.
Thank you. Okay. So we go up and over, and then we come up and make kind of a number 3, or some people see it as a 2, however you visualize it. Then that's Mu. Bu is a straight line across, then down to the left, loop up, come down to a point, up to the, and a loop to the right. That's Bu. Wang is a dot, then a straight line across, then another smaller straight line across, then a line down, and then circle back up and put a straight line through them. That's Wang. And then Shi is a dot, drop down, make a line across, go down, swing all the way up. Go down and bounce back up and make a container. Put a little ribbon inside the container, put one leg down to the left, come up, put another leg or a fish hook down to the right. So that's Shi. Mu, Bu, Wang, Shi. So we're going to use body power, mind power, sound power, soul power to trace these. So I invite you to stand with your feet about shoulder width apart. And trace and visualize golden light coming from the calligraphy to your eyes. Imagine that there's golden light coming out of the calligraphy into your eyes and transforming any negative messages, any negative Shen Qi Jing that is there into positive Shen Qi Jing. And we'll trace and chant it together, connecting your heart and soul. Feel the heart and soul of the calligraphy. Big breath. Mu bu wang shi, er bu wang ting, ko bu wang yin, now bu wang shang, mu bu wang shi, er bu wang ting, ko bu wang yin, now bu wang shang, mu bu wang shi, er bu wang ting, ko bu wang yin, now bu wang shang, mu bu wang shi, er bu wang ting, ko bu wang yin, now bu wang shang, mu bu wang shi, er bu wang ting, ko bu wang yin, now bu wang shang, mu bu wang shi, er bu wang ting, ko bu wang yin, now bu wang shang, mu bu wang shi, er bu wang ting, ko bu wang yin, now bu wang shang. How? Thank you.
Can we go over
Question?
that last part where I don't understand the tracing?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it looks like an N.
So, down here?
Yes. And then
Okay.
it keeps at the very
So
end.
the tracing goes down in a straight line, comes back up and around, loops up, and then swings down and out to the left, and then kind of jumps up to here again, and then a big fish hook. You're welcome. Yeah. So just take a moment and just notice, does your mind feel a little bit quieter, your heart a little more centered, more so than when you came in tonight? So, when we completely reduce the yo and completely increase the wu, we can reach a state that Master Sha calls kong. Kong is emptiness in a very deep and profound way. And one of the one-sentence secrets was, people think Kong is silence. It goes beyond that. When you go deeper into Kong, it's not silent. It's actually the silence, the emptiness in the activity. It carries both. So a lot of the time with Master Sha was receiving blessings to go into the Kong. So this weekend, we'll talk a little bit more about that, and we'll keep opening our hearts and souls further to going into the Kong. You have a question or comment?
Yes, I have a question relating to this mantra.
Yeah.
If we chant this particular mantra or prayer regularly, will this help us from having the negativity around us, the negativity in the news, stick to us?
Yes,
to prevent
exactly.
that. Okay.
You said that perfectly, much better than I could have said it. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Because it is all around us. Pollution is in the world that we live in. In the Tao 2 book, Master Sha calls, and this is from the Chinese ancient wisdom, he refers to the yin-yang world as a bitter sea that all the fish are trying to jump out of. Or red dirt. The world is made of red dirt. You know, if you live here, you get dirty. But this is how we wash it off. And using the Tao calligraphies, tracing and chanting is a wonderful tool for washing it off, washing it from our soul, heart, mind, body. We will be offering a number of blessings throughout the weekend. Some are very powerful. There's very special spiritual instruments that some people received, and they'll be offering blessings with those this weekend. These are big, big, big blessings. I was shocked, actually, that this much was being released so widely. These types of calligraphies are part of that whole thing. And what I'd like to do now is offer a blessing with this calligraphy. We call it a crown chakra blessing because we put it over the top of your head where your crown chakra is. So I'd like to do that for one person on the room and one person on live stream and one person on Facebook. So I'm just going to make this really, please put your name in the chat room if you're on live stream and would like to be considered for this blessing, or if you're on Facebook, in the comments. And I guess the most fair way is for you all to put your names in a basket. If you would do that for me, and we'll just select from there. there was a basket in there, and good, there's paper there. There's a couple pens here if somebody needs a pen. Would you pass that around for me?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay. So part of the teaching that we're going to do this weekend is from this book, because it's one of the books where Master Sha has a practice that uses the word Kong. In this practice, we focus on Tao, Zhong, Ling, Shu, and Kong. And we'll explain all of those and how it helps us go into that space, that very sacred space. One of the things that Master Sha said about Kong is he said he's not going to do a lot of teaching on it because you have to experience it. And if he tells you what it is, then your mind will think that you know what it is, and you'll go to what your mind thinks it is, as opposed to experiencing it and going into it. No worries. So right now, the third person from the bottom. Robin Brandt, congratulations. That was on Facebook, or?
Did you want to live stream too?
Yes, live stream also, please.
Oh wait, that was live stream, I'm sorry.
That was live stream, okay. Facebook, choose the top comment. Yeah. Or the top person who said that they want,
Oh, the top person who...
yeah.
Let's see. Where's that one? Consuelo Raman?
Consuela Ramon?
Consuelo Raman, R-A-H-M-A-N.
Raman, okay, thank you. So Consuelo and Robin, and in the room, the basket is where?
Basket's here.
Okay, thank you, Robert.
There's one on the phone, which is the big one. The one that was on the phone.
That goes with the others. That goes with offsite. Catherine, congratulations. So if you want to bring a chair up. So she's going to receive it. You can go ahead and turn facing facing everybody so they can see you. Yeah, that's just right there. It's great. Thank you so much. And so Catherine will be receiving a blessing directly from this. But when that happens, there will be a whole lot of light that's created and a whole lot of positive Shinchi-jing. And the reason for the calligraphies having the power to do what they do is because of the Shinchi-jing, the soul, heart, mind, energy, and matter that's put into them through the sacred process when they're written. So that calls forth huge positive Shinchi-jing when it's used. So when we trace it, that activates it and brings that positive Shinchi-jing forth. When I put this over her head, it will do so even in a more concentrated way. Okay? But we'll all benefit. Okay, so this will go to Catherine, to Robin, and to Consuelo. Everybody else, just close your eyes, open your heart and soul, feel the energy, feel the light, feel the love. Blessing, begin. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We always close our practices with that phrase. How means good job, get well, among other things. And we say thank you once to heaven, once to all the beings of light, and once to our own soul. So, Catherine, let's get your microphone and you can share with people. And Robin and Consuelo, please share what you experienced.
So feeling everything like from my elbows up to my head, a lot of light. So I could vaguely see like a tendril. Do you know what a tendril, like a fern break or a fern head? Okay.
Yeah.
If you can imagine an upright base, that top part. So I could see that. And then as the blessing continued, it turned into, you know, when the fern break opens, and it was cradling me, like my spine and everything, and lightly reclined. That's the only image I got, and it was very not, it wasn't like a flash of light or anything. It was almost kind of muddled a little bit, if that makes any sense, like a matte black.
That's a beautiful image, so
it
nurturing.
It is.
Yeah, just like being held by a fern.
Yeah, it was just, it sort of speaks to the chronic pain and suffering that I'm going through trying to rid myself of this disease or whatever it is that we haven't really put a name to yet.
Yeah, I understand.
So now I can honestly say that I didn't expect to get this blessing, and I'm very grateful. I'm an art student now, a studio art student, and I've had some issues with thinking about, like, what am I putting out there? And it's very audience-based. What do I want people to see? There's a large contingent of people who are like, oh, just get it out of your system. Someone can relate to it. But for me, ultimately, it's like, I think I just want to get it out of my system and not ever put it on paper. I don't ever want other people to see this.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a, I know that's me thinking and projecting onto what this blessing is. I honestly feel that. But thank you for the blessing, and I saw what I saw, and I felt what I felt. So thank you.
And it was worth everything to see the smile that you had at the end.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, thank
Beautiful.
you. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, let's give her a big hand. How about Robin and Consuelo? Have we heard from them?
Takes a little while. I haven't seen any responses yet.
Still coming, okay. So this is one of the blessings that we will be offering, blessings from each of the calligraphies. Yeah, please, please. Come on up, actually, let everybody see you.
This was very special. I saw something differently than I'd ever seen it before. What I saw with Catherine is I saw like a shower coming down, a shower of light and heart. And then I watched, and I was saying the mantra, and I watched the rain bouncing, and that the limitation in seeing with a fully open heart is the lack of forgiveness, which I had never seen before. And that which I judge in another is a lack of forgiveness for whatever that can, which is also an expression of a limit in my own compassion, that which I don't see clearly. And as I was seeing that, those bouncing, then I saw the bouncing droplets begin to dance with her. And I saw the invitation of forgiveness, which opens deeper seeing in her and greater joy and healing and love resulting, which is another word for what you would call connection. So thank you. I had not seen that relationship before.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. So the weekend will be full of those kinds of aha moments as we all go deeper and deeper in our understanding of the wisdom, because we all, it is partly our mind needs to wrap itself around all of this, but it's also just getting it on a gut level. Like for you, that was a moment of, oh, that moment of clarity. So we'll have that throughout the weekend, I'm sure. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Okay. And are we ready?
We have Consuelo's
Okay,
comments.
great.
I don't see, oh, yes, Robin just put a comment.
Beautiful.
Or just appeared, I should say.
And do you have a microphone? You do. Okay.
Robin Brent says, I am beyond grateful, countless bow downs. I feel a lot of energy going down my spine, then pain in my head on the left side and behind my left eye. Now pain less so on right side of my head and pain in my stomach. The pain is less but continues. I'm doing forgiveness practice as well. It will be interesting to see what happens next. Again, countless bow downs and greatest love.
So what I see happening for Robin is there's some channels that are opening up in different ways than they've been opened before. And so sometimes we actually can experience the clearing as pain. Because what's happening is somewhere in our physical body, remember we talked about all those different levels that this happens on, somewhere the energy is flowing and it's now coming up against a blockage that needs to be removed. And it's sort of like when you go to a dentist and they have to drill something out. Mm-hmm. So the light is going through and doing that on a much more refined level to clear those blockages out. Yeah. Consuelo?
And for Consuelo, she writes, the frequency is so high, my whole body is shaking. Thank you so much for this blessing. Countless bow downs. And Master Adrian wrote in some comments too.
Sure, thank you.
For what he saw. He says, for Catherine, the image I was shown was of little patches of darkness, almost like bubbles of gray matter, especially around the heart. The blessings were penetrating these bubbles, and as each one received a drop of light, they burst open like a daisy and then merely floated away and were carried away by the wind.
Thank you.
And let's see, I think he put in a comment also here for, oh, okay. Yeah, he has another comment on the live stream. And he writes, for both Consuelo and Robin, I saw from within each one's spinal column a spiral of golden beads like champagne bubbles, which infused each cell, each space, each area of their core with light and joy.
Beautiful. Thank you, Master Adrian, for sharing those images. So, so the weekend is an advanced weekend, so it is by application. You can apply by emailing to info@love-peace-harmony-center-sf.com. If you need help with that, you can call us at 415-971-7373. It is for advanced students, so please, if you email us and we don't know who you are, or we might, if you're not sure we know who you are, please tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you a Tao Hands practitioner? What kind of studying have you done? We want to make sure that it's appropriate for everyone who participates. During the weekend, there will be blessings beyond this that we actually can't even demonstrate on Friday night at our introduction. We really, it's not appropriate on Facebook. So it's going to be very beautiful, very powerful. And in fact, if you join this weekend, you can apply to actually receive one of these calligraphies. There is an honor fee involved, but you can apply if that's something that you, and Master Carol being the lineage holder, that's a rare opportunity to receive.
Are we referring to Master Cecilia Liu?
No, Carol Liu. So Carol Liu is from Australia. She is the only lineage holder to Master Sha for the Tao calligraphy. Okay. So that's a position that even Master Cecilia doesn't have. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there is a Carol Liu and a Cecilia Liu. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, so we're really looking forward to sharing what we've experienced, what we've learned, and passing along as much as we can at the highest possible level that we can, so that then you can use that and go out and serve others and help make others happier and healthier. That's what the whole thing is about, creating more love, more forgiveness, more compassion, and more light in the world. So I hope that this evening has helped to do that in a small way for each and every one of you. And I thank you for allowing me to share this time with you. I would like to close by offering a blessing. I received a Kong level Da-I, which is greatest love transmission for my spiritual heart, and I would like to offer each of you a blessing from that transmission for your heart. Okay? So this may give you a taste of the Kong. Actually, I'm going to do this as a silent blessing. Blessing, begin. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to share this time with you. I wish you greatest love, greatest happiness, greatest health and wellness in your life. Look forward to the next time we're together. Please join us for the workshop this weekend if you're one of our advanced students ready to take another step on your journey. And we always close by saying, love you, love you, love you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gong song, gong song, gong song. Bye-bye, everybody. Love, 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 love.